Hello and welcome back to the Fixing Football podcast. We are back with a preview episode because tonight it is England v Denmark. Liam, how are you, mate?
Very good, mate. How you doing? You okay?
Really good. We're broadcasting from an alt. Bear with us if it sounds differently. I'll work that out. Listen, let's get into it. Let's talk about this match coming off the back of the last one. We have. I think it's looking like only Luke Shaw is still the only guy unavailable from the latest news from camp. What are you expecting Southgate to do? Anything different?
Ooh, don't know, if I'm being honest. It's amazing how Luke Shaw is the most important player in the England squad all of a sudden. He's like the David Beckham metatarsal man now, isn't he?
There's always one.
Yeah. I don't know, to be honest. We don't know what he's judging it on, do we? Like, there's a lot of different opinions. I think we've talked about this a lot in the group chat this week, haven't we? How different opinions are completely swayed by club loyalty. So it's hard to know what the actual completely neutral view of an England game is, because logging on, you've got these tribal opinions. But if there was any change I can potentially see him making against Denmark, he may want to bring in a more defensive-minded midfielder. Maybe to combat Eriksen, because that from the Denmark of this tournament isn't the same as the Denmark of the last one. Damsgaard isn't the same threat as he potentially was then. Yeah, and I think if you stop Eriksen, you kind of stop Denmark now. Is the view? Feel like that might be famous last words before a game, but I think he might bring in someone a bit more defensive-minded, and I suspect it'll be Gallagher to try and run the show. What do you think?
I agree. I think, given our team, I would have preferred Gallagher in there anyway, and bring Trent in if, say we were controlling the game and we just weren't creating enough. I think that would be what I would have preferred anyway. But because then Gallagher allows to get a little bit more out of Rice. He can fill in for Rice a lot better than other players can in that spot, especially the preferred level of player. Like, you could always chuck in Wharton, but he's so inexperienced that you don't really know what you're going to get, as talented as he is. So I think Gallagher is our best option there next to Rice. Although I do like Trent. I don't agree with him as a midfielder. I just like his abilities, but I don't agree with this. I have a question about Trent, and it's been on my mind for a little bit. Been looking at a lot of all these highlights that you see about Trent. He's in this certain pocket of the pitch because of his inverted role for Liverpool and his the freedom that he's allowed, or that has been allowed. Do you think we should have tried Trent at left back?
Oh, good question.
Because that could be. He's a very, very experienced fullback, regardless of what people want to question about his ability. But he does have a lot of experience at fullback. And left and right back is... there's not a lot of difference in it. It just depends on what footage you are. It's all about the system and obviously who you're partnered with in terms of your wingers and those around you. But I think we've missed a trick here. And it's only something that's occurred to me in the fact that we could get the best out of Trent if we implemented this inversion.
Yeah, and that's something that City did first at left back. People point to Zinchenko as the one, but it was actually, in my mind, before that. They did it with Delph.
They did, yeah, you're right.
A full season of Delph doing it kind of went under the radar a little bit.
Yeah,
of him doing that, and so it can definitely be done. It's definitely too late, because I think the concern I would have is, I think someone might have mentioned that Trent might have defensive issues. I think I might have been mentioned by...
I think there was a rumour. There was a rumour.
And I think putting him on the other side might amplify that.
Yeah.
I know it's completely different, but I've played right and left back, and it is different challenges.
It is, but only because you're right-footed. That is the main challenge in also, the traditional sense.
But also, as well, with someone going on your outside, if you're trying to retain possession rather than tackle and put it out of play, you're using your weaker foot to try and retain possession and keep it in the cut. That makes it a little bit more difficult as well.
Yeah.
Also, if someone comes inside, you're not necessarily set up and ready for that because you naturally would, like, you're going to lead with your right foot if you're right-footed. And then essentially if they come inside, you're going to be on your back. So you've got to then invert. It's a lot to invert. As much as he does love to invert, Trent Alexander-Arnold, he is the main invertible. We probably have in terms of giving him a go. We missed the trip by not taking Alfie Doughty. I still don't know why we didn't have room for at least one fit left back on a 26-man squad. Because if we're not going to play Wharton, like, what's the point of taking? What's the point in having a fit left back? This is where these kind of decisions really matter.
I thought that about potential Livramento as well. That could have been another shout. I weren't sure of his fitness status.
He's another one, isn't it? He's a right back playing
left
is
back. Right.
He's essentially played left back all season for Newcastle as a right back.
It's just been one that's. This one has just been bothering me that I think we've missed a trick, and all these highlights that we see of Trent, he isn't picking it up in the centre circle, or he is picking it up in the centre circle if everyone's in front of him. Now the thing with centre mid is that you don't have everyone in front of you. You have some behind you, you have some to the side of you, some left of you, and you're receiving the ball in totally different positions. Where he has it as an inverted position, he has so much time. He's only inverted because everyone is in front of him. Everyone's pushed up. Everyone's in this new sort of attacking setup where he's probably got 5 or 6 attackers in an attacking setup, rather than just your standard. When the game's a bit to and fro in, and you've got a lot of players in at every angle. This is where I feel like his biggest weakness is, and this is why I've always questioned him as a midfielder. So yeah, it's just been playing on my mind a little bit, this one.
If you really wanted him in, if Gareth Southgate decided, let's say 6 months ago, that if he's fit, Trent Alexander-Arnold is the first name on my team sheet. The way I probably would have done it is a 5-2-3, where he's a right wing back and he inverts into the midfield from that position.
Yeah.
And then it will revert to a flat back four, which is quite similar to what we've got now, but not, because your left wing back would be someone a little bit more attacking. So that's probably how I would have done it. And that maybe is kind of the form. Maybe the formation is a little bit more fluid than 4-3-3. Maybe it is a little bit of that as well, because he doesn't seem to deviate too much from that right pocket, and then maybe a bit of centre mid as well. So maybe it is a little bit more fluid and is a little bit more 5-2-3 than 4-3-3. But I just think, regardless of sort of the most talked about football of all time, Trent Alexander-Arnold, like, I think I would play Gallagher in this game regardless, because we can worry about what we're good at when it's so easy to shut down the one thing that, in my opinion, they are good at. And once we've done that, then we've got other players, like, we've got plenty of other attacking options. So let's shut them down, because that's what international football is really about. And then we can worry about us.
Is Eriksen the only person we have to really be worried about?
In my opinion, yes. And I believe that Luke has regarded their forward as the new Haaland on a couple of occasions. And maybe there is a worry a little bit about him up against John Stones, potentially, in a one-on-one. I wouldn't like that matchup. If Hodgland or Hoyland, we've still not really decided as a podcast how we're pronouncing his name, but we're going to go with Hoyland. If he was running at Stones, I don't think I like that matchup, personally. I also don't like the idea of Hoyland arriving late in the box from an outside the box position, steaming in, because he does have power. But I'm not concerned too much about Denmark in the way that I have been in previous tournaments.
I just think that they're going to be a pain to break down. We'll move on to like our attacking threat in a sec, but I'm pretty sure against Slovenia they set up with a three at the back, like the wing back, the quite defensive setup, with Eriksen being the 10 role that he would like. But then players like Joachim Andersen was in the Højbjerg just in front of them. So they've got experience, they've got good players, and I think they're going to be a pain to break down if we don't do it early on.
Yeah, they're not a bad team by any stretch of the imagination. It's just, can they hurt us? That's the question. Are they going to be hard to break down? Yeah, but can they hurt us? I think they'll struggle to do.
So speaking of breaking down, then another big talking point from the last game was Phil Foden. Do you continue with him on the left?
I probably don't start him, actually, maybe. Now that we bring that attention to it, I probably don't.
Yeah.
In more of a challenge to him. Because I think there's a lot of talk. It seems like the abundance of our following on the Twitter podcast seems to be City fans. Maybe because we may have mentioned 115 once, and they've just followed us in absolute legion off the back of that.
Yeah, we brought it up once or twice.
So, and I'm seeing, and I work in the Manchester City Centre as you do, Martin. Everyone seems to be a City fan these days. So
yeah.
All I'm hearing is like how greedy and one-dimensional we are with Bellingham in the team. Foden was a problem for England well before Bellingham was the main man. He really struggles to get into games.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, there has been times where he's been good on finishing off moves or done something dynamic. Particularly he's played right wing for England. I think that's where he's played best for England, but he's not getting in there ahead of Saka and Cole Palmer. That's where he's played his best football for England. But I would lay it down as a challenge to him. I probably would drop him on that basis, and I probably would go with Eze rather than Gordon. I just think Eze gives you something a bit different. Different
to Foden, or different just altogether, just a problem in general?
Just gives them something to do. He's willing to actually go past and beat players, which I know Saka does, but in a different way. Eze will do it at pace. He'll come inside, whereas a lot of Gordon's work can either be sort of across the penalty area in a straight line, or they're two very good players. I'm not criticising Gordon at all. I'm glad he's there. He should be there. But I would go with Eze, personally. I just think he unlocks things a bit differently.
Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree. My preference would be Gordon, just because he is... With Gordon and Saka on the wings, you give Kane that freedom to sort of interchange with Jude presumably in the number 10 role, just behind him. Them two can mooch around. Because in my head now, I'm picturing that Denmark are pinned back, they're on the edge of their box, we're passing it side to side as we usually are. And Gordon and Saka in behind Kane. Is a position you don't usually see Eze in. He would be the one dropping inside, being very creative. I really like him as a player. But I think if you've got that attacking option on both sides, that's where you can maybe let Kane come and do some of the work that he wants to do. But we'll see. Maybe he sticks up top again. And I have a feeling we're going to see exactly the same starting lineup. Although I agree with all your points, I would probably go with Conor Gallagher. But yeah. I have a feeling we're going to see the exact same lineup.
Possibly.
What have you made about everything else so far? Is there anything else that's caught your eye? We've got Euro Predictions League is firing.
Yeah, well, it's over for me now.
It's not over. It's not over yet.
It is. You can't win without a top scorer. No one wins without a scorer.
But the two goal scorers.
He's the greatest international scorer of all time in his team. So how could he not win when people in the league haven't even got a striker playing now? So I think Luke's already won.
Who was your wildcard scorer? Was it Okafor?
No, I changed from Okafor. I went with Yaremchuk. And
did he also
starting.
not? He didn't start either.
Like, it's just like, you know what I mean? Like, I think he's one of Ukrainians' top ever goal scorers after Shevchenko, and he just this time we'll just drop him now. Actually, literally a stalwart of that team for about a fucking decade, and they've just dropped him straight away. But whatever.
So for anyone else not following and seeing our predictions, but Liam went with Mbappe as a late change on his goal scorer. Was that your change, or did you keep that one?
No, he's the only thing I kept. And
so Mbappe is ruled out. He's definitely ruled out for the next game. Was talk that he's back potentially for the last group game, if not the knockout stages. So there's still time yet, man.
inverted commas, suspected broken nose. I think
Suspected.
I think it may well be.
It was near his ear.
It was rough. Yeah, it was a rough one.
Yeah.
He's played well as well. I was really enjoyed watching France in that game. Like they're so electric. They're so fun to watch. Like all across the pitch.
It's so mad. I mean, you mentioned it about the amount of football talent that comes out of especially like the Paris area, but they could have selected a totally different 26 and still been in with a chance. The depth that they've got is unbelievable. And then to bring in Kante again and him get like a man of the match.
He was good as well, Kante.
Yeah.
He was so good. Both ends of the pitch. Both ends of the pitch. He was an attacking threat and defensively just sweeping up everything. He was.
They still have Griezmann doing just the supporting role.
I've been meaning to check that. Every time I think of it, I'm like, I'll check how he is.
Yeah, no, I haven't heard anything. But the fact that I haven't heard anything means he's probably nothing serious.
Maybe.
And France's depth is so great that they could rest him no problem if he has got a little knock.
Yeah, I think he's the one that later in the stages, probably even more so than Mbappe. I think if you were asked to dish up privately, like who's your most important player, I think he'd say Griezmann.
He just links so much stuff together for him. He's like the supporting role for every position on the pitch.
Yeah,
he's always the spur man.
He is.
What else have we got? What else has been on? Who's surprised you so far? Is there anything?
What in terms of team? I think Austria
Teams,
will still
players,
do some damage. I think they're really good. I think Austria.
Yeah,
they were very good in that France game. I would say, other than that, not really in terms of surprises. The Georgia-Turkey game was good fun. That was a good
fantastic game. It was absolutely brilliant.
It was good, yeah. So
Turkey have been letting me down for a few competitions now, but they look like they might be able to put it together. Georgia's probably the easiest game in that group.
I think they're the lowest ranked team in Euro history. So let's not get too excited about that performance because it could have very easily have been 2-2. But yeah, it was a very good game, and we'll see because Turkey have got a bit of a talisman in Arda Güler, it looks like, and he's going to be there for some time. So it's quite a young team as well, that Turkey team. So we'll see what they do. The
Romania game as well. I know we covered it a little bit on the podcast the other day, but I heard that was the biggest upset in Euros history. In terms of the position between rankings, yeah. So I mean, I think we're right. This competition is going to be tough, and there's still a lot of upsets to come, in my opinion. So this isn't locked in yet. I know you like to get stuff locked in early, but let's have a little prediction for Thursday evening for the England game.
England versus Denmark. I'm going to go with 1-0 England. I think it'll not be the best watch in the world, and I think your Jason Kunde types will be on TalkSport lamenting Southgate for not freeing the shackles and all that, but I think it'll be a tough game. But I think England will win 1-0.
I'm going to go 2-0, and I'm going to stick with that. So, fingers crossed we get the job done. I've got a feeling if we need to score early, even earlier than what we did last week.
Before the game.
Talking the first 20 seconds. If we get a good early goal, we apply that pressure again, we can sit comfortable and just work on breaking them down for the rest of the game, which will be difficult, but that's my prediction. Right, let's leave it there. We'll wrap it up.
Wonderful.
We'll do a review episode that should be out Friday, so we will catch everyone then, and then there's even more stuff to come. There's other previews, there's other stuff. Yeah. So
it's good, and it's coming home. You've got that to look forward to as well.
There is that. So yes, we will. How are your golf preparations coming? We've got a big competition coming up.
I've got clothes arriving today, so that's a start.
That's a start, yeah.
I'll look the part.
Clothes, a few cans of beer. It's generally all you need for golf, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Right, farewell.
Catch you later. You can catch all our information at www.fixingfootballpodcast.com. We will see you after the game. Come on, England.